Jai Shri Krishna. This video is going to tell you everything that you always wanted to know about Bhagavad Gita. So do not make any hurry and watch this video till end. Let's begin. Bhagavad Gita is the most inspirational work written in the history of mankind. Bhagavad Gita has the capacity to solve every modern problem of this world. If we talk about the history of Bhagavad Gita, then it was written around 5,000 years ago by Rishi Vedyas. It has 18 chapters, 700 verses and 1400 lines. Bhagavad Gita presents ideas about the fundamentals of spiritual philosophy of Hinduism. It talks about dharma, it talks about karma, it talks about bhakti, and it also talks about moksha. Bhagavad Gita is basically a long dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. Arjuna is in the middle of a battlefield and he is into a huge dilemma whether to fight his own relatives or quit the war. There is a family struggle going on between Kauravas and Pandavas. They all have gathered in the middle of Kurukshetra to kill each other. And here is Arjuna, totally bamboozled, totally confused. He doesn't want to fight. He wants to give up. He wants to quit the war. He doesn't want to kill his own relatives, his own friends, his own brothers. And here comes Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna guides Arjuna. Lord Krishna starts a conversation and completely removes all the doubts, all the despairs, all the confusions from the mind of the mighty Arjuna. The first chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called Vishad Yoga. Here Arjuna is still confused and he asked Lord Krishna himself whether to fight against his own relatives or to surrender the war completely. The second chapter is called Sankhya Yoga. Here Arjuna asked the concepts of life, the meaning of life, the purpose of life, the concept of death, the concept of rebirth. The other ideas discussed here are the concept of self-knowledge and the types of yoga. The number 3 chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called Karma Yoga. It is one of the famous chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Here, Lord Krishna talks about the concept of karma. He teaches Arjuna that not doing anything is also a kind of negative karma. So he must follow the concept of karma, and in the process of doing the karma, he must not ask for any kind of fruit. He must become a selfless yogi. Chapter 4 is called Sannyas Yoga. Here Lord Krishna says that he returns on earth, he returns on this planet to save dharma. He returns every single time when the dharma is declining. Lord Krishna here has started to reveal his true divine self to Arjuna. The 5th chapter is called Karam Sannyas Yoga. Arjuna here asks that which way of life is better, the ways of the sannyasis, which are the monks, or the ways of the grihasth, which are the householders, the family man. The Krishna replies intelligently that both the ways can be perfect, both the ways can be right, if they live their life with the actions which are selfless and they live their life by giving services to others. The 6th chapter is called Dhyana Yoga. Lord Krishna here talks about the person who has achieved the concept of self-realization. The self-realized person is not in the trap of good and bad. He is not in the trap of happiness and sadness. He has achieved the highest level of consciousness, and that's why he is called a yogi. The 7th chapter is called Jnana Vijnana Yoga. In this chapter, Lord Krishna says that when the union of self with Lord Krishna himself happens, then the highest goal of spiritual pursuit is achieved. The chapter is called Akshar Brahma Yoga. Arjuna here asks the concepts, the questions of karma, the questions of what is Brahma. The chapter discusses the concepts of death and the life after death. The chapter also discusses the thoughts that comes into mind before death And the chapter also discusses the life, the journey of soul after death. Chapter 9 is called Raj Vidya Yoga. The chapter recommends unconditional devotional worship of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is everywhere. Lord Krishna is everything. Chapter 10 is called Vibhuti Yoga. Krishna here says that He is the manifestation of everything. He is the cause of all the material and spiritual existence. And here, Arjuna accepts Krishna as the Supreme Being. Chapter 11 is called the Vishwarupa Darshan Yoga. Here Lord Krishna displays His universal form, His universal being to the fortunate Arjuna. Arjuna is the fortunate devotee of Lord Krishna who is lucky enough to witness this in his lifetime. Chapter 12 is called Bhakti Yoga. Lord Krishna here says that He is in love with His devotees who give selfless love, selfless devotion to Him. He loves all those devotees who give compassion, who give love, who give help to all the living beings. He wants His devotees to give unconditional love to Him. The 13th chapter is called Chhetragya Vibhagyo. It means the field and the knower. Lord Krishna here talks about the physical body and the eternal self, the universal consciousness and the individual consciousness. The 14th chapter is called Gunaatre Vibhagyo. Lord Krishna here talks about the difference between Purush and Prakriti. Lord Krishna also talks about three gunas, three qualities which are Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Chapter 15th is called Purushottam Yoga. Lord Krishna here talks about the concept, the vision of Vedanta. He also talks about that detachment is the only way through which divine pursuit is possible. The 16th chapter is called Devasura Sampadavibhag Yoga. Lord Krishna here talks about two paths. One is divine and second is demonic. Divine way, divine path leads to happiness and liberation, and the demonic path leads to bondage and unhappiness, sufferings. Lord Krishna also talks about the importance of scriptures. One should always follow the guidelines, the instructions of scriptures. They are very important in deciding the actions, what should be done and what not should be done. The 17th chapter is called Shraddha Triya Vibhag Yoga. Lord Krishna gives the concept of Om Tat Sat. Om is the representation of God Himself. Tat is the action to God, and Sat is the eternal virtue in itself. The last and final chapter is called Moksha Sannyasi Yoga. It summarizes everything that has already been told. Lord Krishna says to renounce the fruit, follow the path of selfless action. He talks about the attributes of yogi, and finally he says anyone who is devoted to Krishna will always reach the Supreme Being who is Krishna Himself. Thank you so much for watching this video so far. If we read Bhagavad Gita, we find not only the solution of all the modern problems, but we also find ourselves. Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari, He Nath Narayana Vasudeva. Jai Shri Krishna.